Hello friends, good evening everybody. Today I am here to talk about an unsung king. Today is 14th May, the birth anniversary of Chhtrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. Talking about him, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj was born on 14th May 1657 at Purandar Fort, which is near Pune, 30 kilometers from Pune. He lost his mother Maharani Saibai at the age of just 2. After that, his care was taken by his grandmother Rajmata Jizabai, who was the mother of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. In 1666, he accompanied Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj just at the age of 9 to Agra during his famous Agra visit and his famous escape from Agra. He was part of that famous escape from Agra. One very interesting thing about him is that he started his military campaigns at the age of 17. And along with being a great warrior, he was also a great scholar. He was basically a Sanskrit scholar, and he has also written down many books. The name of those books are Buddha Bhushanam, Nakhashikhank, and Naika Bhed. These books are basically written down in Sanskrit. Now in 1674, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was declared the sovereign king or the Chhatrapati of the Maratha Empire. And during that time itself, during that coronation, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj was also declared as the Yuvraj or the higher apparent to the throne of the Maratha Empire in 1674 at Raigad. So legally he was the higher apparent. Now many interesting events happened in the following years. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj then went down to south for his famous southern conquest up to Jinji, which is in today's Tamil Nadu. After coming from the southern conquest, soon Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj died on 3rd April 1680. Before that, he had met Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj at Panhala Fort near Kolhapur, and a very interesting conversation had been there within them. And at that time Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj was asked to stay at Panhala as the Subedar of Prabhavali. Now what happened is that after Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj died on 3rd April 1680, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj was already in conflict with one of the ministers of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Annaji Datto, who was basically the finance minister at that time. There were conflicts on various topics between them since some years. So basically, he didn't want Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj to ascend the throne. So there was a conspiracy, and Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj didn't know anything about about the death of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj for at least 10 days. And many events followed after the death of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Annaji Datto prompted the other ministers of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and also Maharani Soirabai, who was the chief queen at that time of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, into not letting Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj know about the death of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And as a part of this conspiracy, Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj, who was the second son of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, who was only 10 years old at that time, and who was the son of Maharani Soirabai, was made to sit on the throne at that time. But events went like this, that at that time the Senapati or the commander in chief was Hambirrao Mohite. Hambirrao Mohite was actually the real brother of Maharani Soirabai. So Annaji Datto had ordered him to imprison Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, and along with so he was asked to go to Panhala for the same. But what happened there was complete opposite. Annaji Datto had accompanied him with and other ministers too had accompanied him to Panhala. They all went to imprison Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. But Hambirrao Mohite instead imprisoned the ministers themselves who had hatched the conspiracy against Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. So after that Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj went to Raigad, which was the capital at that time, and ascended the throne. But his formal coronation was yet to take place. His formal coronation took place on 16th January 1681. And just after his coronation, he then sacked the Mughal city of Burhanpur. It was totally sacked down in 1681 by Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. So now many more interesting events happened. At that time Aurangzeb was ruling from Delhi. One of his sons by the name of Akbar had rebelled against Aurangzeb. But his rebellion had been crushed, and after his rebellion had been crushed, he had escaped down south and he came to Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj as a refugee. So Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj was intending a political checkmate to Aurangzeb by using his son himself. So there were many deals going on with them. But that time one more thing happened. Annaji Datto again hatched a conspiracy against Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj by contacting Akbar and asked him to dethrone Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj and place Rajaram Maharaj on the throne, by which he would also get the half of the Maratha kingdom. Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj came to know about the conspiracy, and after that he put to death all of the conspirators under the foot of an elephant. So the internal conflict was thus ended. After that he was using Akbar as a political tool against Aurangzeb. So Aurangzeb came down to the south with the intent of winning whole of the Deccan region. At that time, the Deccan region was ruled by three powers: the Maratha Empire under Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, the Adil Shahi Sultanate of Bijapur, and the Qutub Shahi Sultanate of Golconda. So Aurangzeb first started his campaign against the Maratha Empire. The Maratha Empire at that time had 350 plus forts. On the border of the kingdom was a fort by the name of Ramshes. He attacked that fort and laid a siege to the fort, but he was not able to capture the fort for years. Just one fort it was, and it took him almost 5 years to capture the fort. So what he thought was that 350 forts were there, and if he was taking 5 years to conquer a single fort, he won't be able to capture the Maratha Empire within his lifetime. So what he did is that he prompted the Siddhis of Janjira, the Portuguese of Goa, and King Chikkadev Rai of Mysore against Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. So there were many complaints about the Siddhis, as he was looting the frontiers. So Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj started a campaign against the Siddhis of Janjira. The basic problem of defeating them was that they were living in the seafort of Janjira, which was few meters away from the sea coast, and it was in the sea. So herein Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj used his innovation technique and started to build a causeway from the village of Rajapur up to the gates of Janjira. He had completed 800 meters of the causeway. During this time, he was also bombarding Janjira down. But at that time, the Mughals attacked down from Kalyan. So he had to halt that siege and go back to fight the Mughals, wherein he defeated the Mughals and set them back. After that he had also campaigned against the Portuguese of Goa. During his campaign to Goa, it was that the fort of Fonda, which is in in today's Goa, was at that time with the Marathas. The Portuguese had laid siege to the fort, and the Killedar, or the chief of the fort at that time, was in trouble. So Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj came down to Goa and attacked the Portuguese from the rear. So the Portuguese were now clenched between the two Maratha armies. At that time, the viceroy of the Portuguese was also present, and at that time he had to almost run for his life he had to almost run for his life to save himself against the onslaught of Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. Thus the Portuguese of Goa were defeated, and after that they never ever prompted back against the Maratha Empire. After that, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj also had a campaign in Mysore against the king of Mysore, Chikkadev Rai. During this campaign, he had led the siege to the fort. But what happened was that the army of Chikkadev Rai was using lethal arrows, which were poisonous, and that were turning fatal for the Marathas. So here also Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj used his innovation, and he built such jackets which were all proof or would provide protection from these lethal arrows. The jackets were made from leather, and this technique helped, and then he won the war against Chikkadev Rai at that time. After that, Chikkadev Rai also didn't prompt the Marathas ever. Now during this thing, when Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj was battling 4 enemies at a time, and he had various campaigns, what Aurangzeb did was that he captured the sultanates of Bijapur and Govalkonda, the Adil Shahis and Qutub Shahis, due to which his power was increased. And during the same time, the Senapati, or the commander in chief of the Maratha army, Hambir Rao Mohite died in a battle at Vai. This was a setback to the Marathas. After that, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj appointed Maloji Ghorpade as the Senapati, or the commander in chief. But this happened in 1687, these events. After that, he was leading a war against the Mughals for 2 years more. The Mughals weren't able to capture any of the Maratha forts. But unfortunately, one thing happened. Once he was going back to Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj was going back to Raigad, and he had waited at Sangameshwar in Konkan to resolve a dispute. And he didn't have a large army at that time. He only had a contingent of some 100 people. So now that is subject to debate exactly who gave the news. But somebody gave the gave the news about his whereabouts to the Mughal commander, and he attacked Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, and he was captured, unfortunately. What later happened was very, very unfortunate. He was taken down as prisoner in front of Aurangzeb, wherein he was asked two questions. Where is your state treasury, and hand down all your forts to me, and who among the Mughals had helped you against me? But he refused to answer both of the questions, and because of which Aurangzeb tortured him for 40 days before killing him on 11th March 1689. He became a martyr